My name's Emily Cole. I'm the community manager for the National Talent Dividend Project. If you two would both introduce yourself and briefly kind of discuss the role in the organizations that you work for.
I'm Deborah Diamond, and I'm the president of Campus Philly, and our organization is a nonprofit that works to attract, engage, and retain college students.
Okay.
I'm Claire Greenwood. I'm the Director of Policy Development for Select Greater Philadelphia and the CEO Council for Growth. And we are an affiliate of the Greater Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce. We do business marketing and attraction work, and the CEO Council focuses on improving the Greater Philadelphia region to make it a more attractive place for businesses to make a location visit.
So how long have you both been working together, too, and collaborating on talent dividend work?
I've been at Campus Philly for 2 years, but Claire and I started working together probably a year or two before that on talent dividend issues.
Okay, so your talent dividend work then did start a few years ago. It's not recent like some cities. That's great.
Yeah, and I would say Philadelphia has a history of building the kind of infrastructure around these issues that is long even precedes our work together on talent dividend.
How many, generally speaking, residents in the Greater Philadelphia area do you have, and do you have a ballpark number for how many have received degrees at any level?
The way we define Greater Philadelphia, at least for the footprint for our organization and many of the other organizations here, is slightly different than the metropolitan statistical area. So just as a place to start. So our 11-county tri-state region, it has a population of about 6.2 million people, which is about the fifth largest region in the country. 33% of our population ages 25 and older have a bachelor's degree or higher. I mean, and obviously that number jumps around depending on the American Community Survey data on an annual basis, but I think hovering right around 33% is pretty accurate for us.
How do you, as I guess this is sort of a broad question, but as separate organizations define talent in your region? In that same vein, kind of how is talent working in your city?
Philadelphia has such a long history of looking at this question and from all dimensions. So when you talk about researchers with PhDs to skilled workers with certificates to, college graduates, I'd say that we have infrastructure with pretty deep roots, connecting those folks with the business community, with employers, and with educational institutions. So I think across the spectrum, from skilled workers to PhD level researchers, especially because of the deep university and college, the assets that we have here, we have great resources and great attention paid to all elements of the pipeline.
I know there's so many institutions that you're working with, obviously, in your greater metropolitan area, but are there kind of thoughtful strategies that you've created, either of you, to really attract and retain talented people? Are there specific initiatives that you're working on? Obviously, every city wants to be able to do that, to keep their good people there, whether they're graduating at 21 or 35. But are there certain initiatives you've built into your work to do that very thing?
Our region has over 100 colleges and universities, the way that we define our region. So we've got an enormous population and pool of potential people who we'd like to keep here. We have, on an annual basis, we confer over 81,000 degrees. So there's a lot of volume here in terms of the educational resources and the talent that they're producing. So I think there's a lot to work with, but we do have some very targeted investments, including Campus Philly, that are really focused on how we can retain those folks when they graduate.
Yeah, in the late 90s, I think there were some thought leaders in Philadelphia, including the CEO Council for Growth, that's connected to Claire's initiative, and the Economy League of Greater Philadelphia, really saw the need to prepare Philadelphia for the changing demands in the workforce, because we were clearly not a manufacturing city anymore. And to the extent that we were manufacturing, it was going to be folks who could deal with pretty high level kinds of processes. So the Economy League in the late 90s incubated Campus Philly and Graduate Philadelphia that really addressed this discrepancy between the higher education assets that we have and the relatively low college attainment levels of the residents and was really designed Campus Philly and Graduate Philadelphia to bridge those gaps and encourage people to, one, complete their degrees, and Graduate Philadelphia's mission is to do that, and two, with Campus Philly, to retain college students after they graduated. And when the Economy League did a study in 2004 to see how many students were staying, they found that 29% of non-native college students who came from outside the region to go to school here stayed after graduating. And Campus Philly redid the study in 2010, and we found that 48% were staying. So, and then when the 2010 census data came out, and we saw how many 25 to 34-year-olds we had with college degrees, and that had grown so much, we realized this is really working. Valid. Yeah.
Congrats. How did both organizations begin? I guess that would be kind of taking a step back, but you said you've got these two fabulous organizations. They were the beginning, in the mid 90s to late 90s, but how did they both kind of get off the ground? I know cross-sector partnerships in big and small cities can be challenging. They can also be really great if you've got an amazing group of people together. So how did those sort of come to fruition?
I think the foundation certainly on both Graduate and Campus Philly and the work that was done at that time was really first and foremost around the research that identified the problem.
Yep.
So it was about stating the problem in a very public way and then beginning to start the conversations around those cross-sector partners to try to start thinking about what the solutions might look like. And because the problem was so well defined, I think it was easier for people to come to the table around what their role could be in that process. But it certainly has taken time, I would say, to get the kind of scale even that we have today, which still we'd like more of.
Right.
Of the number of partners across multiple sectors that are at the table. But I know through the Knowledge Industry Partnership and Campus Philly, the city was a key partner initially, both also with Graduate Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. So it was both public and private sector, as well as higher education and business, all coming to the same table together.
Yeah, and I think CEOs for cities recognizes that these partnerships really are led by a combination of higher ed, foundation, and the business community, and represented in Select, the CEO Council, and the city. We've been really fortunate that we've had a series of mayors who have realized the importance of investing in educating our own population and leveraging the assets of being a college town. So all of those folks have been at the table.
Mm-hmm. From an organizational standpoint, then, did you have some people that were really leading the charge aside from the two of you that have, whether it's forming subcommittees or breakout groups or you mentioned 100 universities in your greater area. How did you really try to organize this massive group of people to begin working together?
I think the original work, which neither of us were engaged in, which was the basis of these multiple organizations that came out of it. They did have regular meetings. I think they met at least on a quarterly basis, if not more often, through the Knowledge Industry Partnership.
Right.
With the net recently. And I think that's evolved over time once there was traction within the kind of independent infrastructure to deal with the different parts of the continuum. Through the Talent Dividend work, we have been meeting on a somewhat regular basis. If not, I think it's probably every other month for the most part, occasionally more frequently if necessary. But it is that. I think it is a core group of people, whether they be from the organizations that are providing the infrastructure to engage on these issues, or a mix of partners from others that really are at the table trying to push the conversation forward.
And I think one thing that's characterized the kind of cooperation that we have is we don't wait for everyone to be at the table. We would be waiting. I mean, there are 101 higher eds, and so we work with the people who are ready to invest and see the importance and move things along. And really, as we've done that, we've acquired more partners along the way. But it's sort of like perfect is the enemy of the good. You know, you just kind of have to get going. And I think that that's what's happened. And, you know, that, and the other piece of it is that we keep each other in mind so that, you know, if Claire is bringing together the presidents of the colleges and universities for one purpose, she brings the talent dividend to the table. If Campus Philly is having an annual meeting, we bring the talent dividend to the table. So we're not just keeping our silos. We're really using our own organization's meetings and convenings to bring attention to this.
Are there examples of some of your strongest partnerships that, you know, not to call out a specific organization, but some of the strongest organizations that are really helping lead the charge and helping your work?
I mean, specific to the talent dividend, right. I think there's been a great deal of willingness from some percentage, to Deborah's point, of the higher education community that has really paid attention to this work, maybe more readily than the business community, not because there's not willingness there, but because I think the way that prize is measured, there's a clear sort of quantitative and direct connection to what the higher education institutions are doing. So I think they've been a group of folks who are coming to the table, participated in some research that we did over the spring and summer this year, just trying to identify some of the practices that are going on in these institutions that are supporting degree completion and persistence. There's certainly individual institutions you could call out that are specific partners in Graduate Philadelphia or Campus Philly. So again, on the higher education side, I would say the city of Philadelphia and this mayor has really placed a high premium on the education agenda broadly, and certainly his staff is really engaged to the extent that their work can dovetail with what we've been working on. They've got some great efforts in a website they organized called Philly Goes to College. They have a graduation coach campaign that has been pretty successful the last couple of years. So they're also a good partner, I would say, in this work. And obviously, our association, you know, being affiliated with a large metropolitan chamber, sort of represents the business community at the table, and, you know, figuring out how over the next however many months we've got left in the prize specifically itself, we can get more of those folks engaged too.